watching Eric Armstead's podcast, which have you watched that podcast?
This was last week, right?
Like this. This is the speed of the podcast.
Was it really going that slow?
Yes. I had it on 1.25 and it was still like, so Ward. Like I was like, dude.
See, that's why freaking these players think it's so easy. It's like, bro, it's not. You have to have like the energy and like he's only doing that because he's getting like a little side hustle. Like all these players.
Yeah.
It really started with Draymond
definitely
Green.
getting a bag. I'm jealous. Whoever's giving him the bag. Hello, how are you? But no, although the delivery was a little interesting, the conversation was also interesting. I don't know. Okay, apparently I'm not thriving at this either right now. But they set up a prompt because Eric Armstead asked Charvarius Ward, did he consider himself, or like how well would he rate himself in the NFL? And Ward said, I'm top 5, maybe top 3, and I'm going to be number 1 as soon as I start getting interceptions. And he even said, he was like, by the end of this year, I'm going to have a pick six and an interception, which I think is amazing because then he like ended up getting both of those in the very next
Stood
game.
on business.
Way to call your own number. I like that the 49ers players have been doing that this year. Like they're speaking the shit into existence. But aside from that, when he said that, then Eric Armstead gave him like a scenario that I found really interesting. And I'd love to know what you think, because I felt like my initial instinct maybe wasn't correct, but he basically said, would you rather, so think of this as a fan or as a writer watching, the 49ers. And I even think, well, I'll give you the scenario first. Would you rather have a corner that gives up 150 yards but gets 2 interceptions, or would you rather have a corner that doesn't get any interceptions but that gives up 0 yards? Which one?
Yeah, I think no matter what, and I'm biased because that was my position growing up all the time and a little bit through college, so I love cornerback play and talk.
Oh, really?
See, and it's always, yeah, actually, I got some awards up here. I think it's mainly because I always credit my coach because he played D1 and like him and his other, like they always like, I always shout him out. Coach Calvin Roberts always like, he was the one that put the mentality and my understanding of this all the time. And forever, it's you'll always want the shutdown corner. You mean I can have someone that I'll put you on this guy and I'll erase him from the game, the eraser, all the time. You'll take that 11 times out of 10 versus the guy who's going to get you picks. And I actually wrote that in my article about how today, Charvarius Ward is making a case to be an all-pro. It's like, it sucks about corners because unless you have the stats, no one cares about you. Corners that's why I love Eric. I always retweet Eric Cocker every time he says, man, corners are the most hated position in the game. It's like, yes, they are. They are. Even when it looks like something's bad, it's like, no, actually, that was a good play by him. It was just, he just got caught. And, the way the rules are, they're not really in a favorable position anymore. So you always want the one who's the eraser. And I made an example like, hey, Ward might be even playing better than the Cowboys corner, Deron Bland. Like he has all those amazing 5 pick sixes NFL history. So he's probably going to get obviously Pro Bowl and then all pro considerations for that. But really like, even with Trayvon Diggs in years prior, it's like, yeah, he's making these picks, but he's also giving up all these plays and stuff like that. So it's like, you have those roller coaster ride cornerbacks, and then you have the ones who are like, hey, I'm getting these PBUs, I'm shutting them down, they're not targeting my side, and I'm a real influencer, essentially, a real influencer. You think about Darrelle Revis of the past, Stephon Gilmore in his prime, Nnamdi Asomugha, all these players, and so, yeah, no, you always want those players who are just like, limit the damage, don't get targeted, and even though the picks aren't there, it's like, that's really where it should be at, not the guy who's like, oh, we're getting picked on. Like credit to those corners who are doing that phenomenal. There's definitely some talent to that, but no, like Ward needs to be recognized at this point to me, he's always been a top 10 corner last year for sure. Cause there's only so many good, like elite corners as it is. And then there's a nice little pack of like really good corners, and Charvarius Ward's always been one of them. But this year, especially since the bye week, he's really taken off because during that losing streak, he did hit that lull, or he's kind of getting beat, especially with penalties. But ultimately, the body of work for him is really entertaining. Like he's definitely top 10, probably even top 5, and he's making a case to be all pro with the way he's heading. And that last game where he finally got those career high in picks in a game and his first pick 6. Now the case is there. Hopefully, his popularity and his name starts to get propped up because the cornerback disrespect in so many players is just ridiculous.
What time is the Ravens game next week? It's prime. Is it? It's on.
Monday
I
Night
know it's
Football
on
time, so
Christmas.
5:15, right?
Perfect. Okay. I mean, you'd think that if he continues to play really well in that game too, because those are the games that are
Prime
going to
time,
get
yep.
your. Those are the games that are going to get your
That's
name
the
out
same
there.
case I said about what Purdy. Like, oh, if Purdy looks good on Thanksgiving against the Seahawks in a win, then that's going to really propel his, his. Okay, so for Ward, if he makes plays, there's a couple PBUs, especially a pick, not getting beat, then damn, yeah, that's going to help him tremendously.
I want to know your opinion because I do think like every player considers themselves top 5. Like Brandon Ayuk went on there and said the same thing. He was like, "I'm top 5." I feel like you could pick any player in the NFL, even like a practice squad guy, and they'd be like, "I'm top 5." I feel like maybe you just have to have that mindset to make it to the NFL. But
Yeah.
do you think that because I remember wasn't there a point pre-bye week in the season where people kind of thought that Ward wasn't really living up to his contract? Like he was like a good 1B, but not a 1A.
Yeah,
But
he wasn't.
um he's like leading the NFL and like giving up the least amount of yards right now and stuff. So he's really turned it around. And I do know even then, I don't know if he's in the chat, but Roscoe's Chris from Twitter, when I was kind of complaining and being like, I don't think Ward is living up to his contract, Roscoe was like, he's doing really good. So maybe it was just something I didn't see. Maybe you did because you said you played the
I thought it
position.
was just pretty much penalties on his side, and the couple of catches he let is like, come on, dude, you can't be getting beat in those positions, So, but it really the point is it's he wasn't playing to his standard of ball is what I felt. Maybe not the contract, but yeah, you know what I mean. It just felt like he could have been playing better because like you know what he's playing okay, but like I just know he could do better. Like same thing with Deebo Samuel last year. Is like I know you could do better, Deebo. We saw it. We're not asking for 2021 version, but I think we get 50% more of what you're doing now. So War, I thought he could have been playing better. And now he's not only playing to standard, hell, he's playing better than that, it feels like. Because, again, I do feel like he is, like, around that top 5 cornerback play. And also, like, around the league, it's like, how many elite corners are actually there? Not like Jalen Ramsey's there anymore, Xavier Howard, maybe Jalen Johnson. But it's like, there aren't that many, like, I think there isn't even a shutdown corner in this day and age anymore, or at least this year. I mean, there's a lot of really good corners, and I think Ward's one of them. And when you're on an elite defense, that should say something. So it's kind of hard. Why are they elite? Why are they an elite defense? Because you have an elite corner, an all-pro performer, arguably, in Ward that he needs to start getting some flowers, some credit.
I completely agree. I don't know if I'd put him in top 5 yet, but I definitely think maybe top 10.
I say just for this season. I mean, because this season, yeah, it's clear he's the top 5. I mean, Brock Purdy's top 5 quarterback, but he's not like I think if we're getting like the best of Mahomes, Allen, and all those other players, I don't think he would actually be there. But this season for sure, like I feel like Ward's top 5 corner this year.
Okay, and then I want to transition from because we talked about Ward who had a great game, but